Okay, so tonight, Vince, we're going to talk about the iceberg theory and ask you some questions. Do you want to kick this off with some
Yeah,
thoughts?
I just want to remind everybody about the iceberg theory, where it came from and what it's the foundation of what it's about. The theory itself comes from a recovery book, the big book of a recovery group called Anorexics and Bulimics Anonymous. And it's chapter 5 of that book. And if you have the opportunity, it's under Vince's Corner in additional resources, and you can actually download the whole entire article. It's really interesting. When I read that, it opened up a lot of doors, a lot of areas for me in my life. I think what's so beautiful about the iceberg theory is the theory that applies to all of us. We all have stuff that's basically hidden inside of us and frozen for a lot of years. And to get in touch with it, and not that we're going to be able to get in touch with all of it, but to do our best. So Loretta just put up a concept of it, and they say you can pick that up. We're going to start talking about some of the stuff on it tonight, and then if you have any questions while we're doing this, please put your questions in the chat, and we'll try to address them either during the session today or afterwards if we have to. Okay. All right. Okay, Loretta, fire away.
Okay, so we talked a lot about what is under the surface, but there were two things that struck me that we didn't talk a lot about, and that was dualistic thinking and tunnel vision. And when I hear both of those words, I think of, we have a lens that we see the world, and sometimes that lens is very narrow. How can we open it some and melt the iceberg there?
Dualistic thinking is, make it in very, very simple terms, is connected to tunnel vision in the sense that it's black and white thinking. It's almost like we have an old saying in the program, my way or the highway. So it's almost like everything I look at in life simply has this black and white concept. This is the way it is. It's either this way or it's that way. And there's no middle ground. There's no gray matter. And we've learned over the years that when you kind of live inside of a tunnel, you never see the outside. And so I don't want to see the outside. So tunnel vision is when you operate this way. So literally, one of the things I've learned from that concept is so many of us, for survivor purposes, myself included, have lived in our world only. And basically, we had to control that world and make that world be what we wanted it to be. And therefore, if anybody disagreed with me or somebody had an issue with it, they immediately became the enemy. And as a result, then I have to try to dismiss them and get away from them. The bottom line is, I don't want anybody to get too close to me. Therefore, I have to portray an image. And that image becomes who I am. It's not who you really are, but it becomes who you are. Because I'm afraid of the real inside. And so basically, dualistic thinking simply means I live in a world of black and white, right and wrong, this way, that way, one way or the other way. And basically, we get into this judgments of people. What I've learned over the years, it comes with experience. I know that. I've learned there's a lot of gray matter in this world. And one of the things I really learned is that everybody looks at things through a different set of eyes. It's interesting when you talk about dualistic thinking. Every one of us has our concept of what life is, but it's ours. And yet we have a hard time sometimes connecting with somebody else's. So as a result, I have to be able to open my mind, open my heart to realize, I told you this before, there are no absolutes. Everything is in progress, everything is in growing, everything is a learning process. And so if you're open, then you're open to learn and grow from all different areas of life. But when you actually lock yourself into one little world, when I was a young priest, when I was in the seminary, when I was a youngster growing up, I was locked into that world of rules, regulations, black and white. It was only when I began the process of recovery, and I thank God, I was able to begin to open that up a little bit. But opening it up was hard. Was how to look at where other people are coming from. That opens the doors. I think Dr. Bob said it beautifully when he said to Bill W., remember, Bill, this is a spiritual program open to everybody, everywhere, every place, no matter what they think, no matter what they believe, no matter what background they come from. And so we have to look at life that way and realize there's always something new to learn. We have to learn to let go and allow new processes to come in our life. And that's not easy because so many of us have that tendency to want to go backwards to that safe little world. And to be able to be open to grow and develop is a totally different thing. So tunnel vision simply means too, my way, this is it, the only way. Well, it's sad. It's also very defensive.
How do you reconcile that with, say, your general beliefs, your values, your principles? I know we can sometimes choke on our principles. I get that. But there's some reconciliation there that I guess I struggle with. I don't know if everyone else does.
Well, it doesn't mean I give up my beliefs. It means I'm open to listen to other people's stuff. And then I learned this through the AA program. I can take what I can use and leave the rest. I can learn something here and something there. You know, I realized in the course of my journey, and my transition and my change, I mean, I look at all religions. I can learn something from every one of them. It doesn't alter my beliefs, what I believe, what works for me. This is what works for me. And yet, I have to respect and honor what works for everybody else, too. So it's not like me saying, you know, I believe this and what you believe is wrong. That's that tunnel vision again. It's my way or the highway. So the concept is, I have to try to stay away from judgments. I may disagree with what somebody believes, but that's okay. I don't have to believe it, but I realize if I have to respect it. That's the most important thing.
I love that. So it's really no judgments. Everything you have to look at through the lens of respect, right? Everybody's entitled to believe what they want to believe.
I mean, I told you this before. I could take 8 brothers and sisters, put them in 8 separate rooms, do a family history, and I'll come out with 8 different families. Every one of them is right because it's their perception. It doesn't mean that things really even happened. We go by perception. And so I perceived. This is what it looked like to me. My brother, it may look like something totally different. Again, it doesn't mean you have to agree with everybody, but you got to be open to learn and grow from the people around you. There's so much. This world is so big and so gigantic, you know, and there's so much, you know. I don't know about you, but I don't want to know all the answers to everything. That's sad. It takes away the wonderment. Why are there stars in the sky? Just enjoy the stars. Enjoy the moon. Enjoy the sun. I mean, I can go nuts trying to figure them out. Unless you want to be one of the scientists that does all that stuff. I don't want to do that. I want to enjoy it.
So we talked about earlier today, and I thought this was an excellent point someone brought up, you know, if something's not black or white, it's gray. And they basically spoke about how that can impede your decision-making process. Do you want to address that?
Well, once you open yourself up to gray matter, it means that things inside of you may change over a period of time. Again, I look back at my own journey in my own life. You know, I grew up in a very specific background religious system. But over time, that system for me was able to open up in other different directions. It's the same thing as regards my belief in certain areas of life. You know, I believe in, you know, other ways of life, different communities, different concepts. I look at that all differently today than I did before, but it took time to be able to open yourself up, to be able to allow it to come in. Doesn't mean I have to do it. But I have to realize there are alternate lifestyles. There are people in different areas. And again, it's not for me to say they're right or they're wrong. See, I always took those two words, right and wrong, and I said this to you before in my lectures. I changed them to healthy and unhealthy. Whatever's healthy for me, that's what's healthy for me today. That might change tomorrow, though. You know, I might find out something better can help me in my life, in my journey. I can be open to new things. At the same time, I have to realize the fact there is gray matter out there. The gray matter really is the openness, the learning, the growing, the discovering, the experiencing of new things. That's the excitement of life. See, I find it sad sometimes because so many of us keep looking for the answer, and there is no answer. It's just a journey. And we have to be able to be on the journey and be open to the journey. You know where it's going to take you. You know, when I do the next series, I want to talk about life paths. You never know where they're going to lead you. You could have went this way, you could have went that way. But each one of our paths leads us in another direction to another path. And that's how life works. You know, I look back to 1961, 1960, you know, and never in my wild life would think I'd be involved in a movement. I got involved in the civil rights movement back then. You know, I was young. I really got involved in it, you know, and everybody around me told me, be careful, this kind of stuff and everything. But it really opened up a lot of doors for me. But it took a lot of effort on my part to actually connect with it and begin the process of it. You know, but again, I learned a lot from it. You know, did I change the world? No. But maybe I had a little piece of being connected and learning something that changed a lot of me. That's what's important. That's the big piece. Is there a change inside of me and my spirit and my energy that makes me who I am? That's the beautiful part about spirituality and the gift of life. So, yeah, so you realize the fact I learned something powerful from that, from all different experiences, things you go through. But sometimes you got to take risks in life too. You got to try something different. You know, I bounced around from Al-Anon to AA, to ACOA, to CODA, you know, and I ended up in EDA. Before EDA, I went to OA, ABA. You know, I finally found a home finally. Took me a long time checking out all those different 12-step programs. I got a lot out of every one of them. But it was neat to be able to experience them and have that to be part of my life. Then to find something that I could find a home in. Now, will that stay that way? That might change too over time. I don't know. Figure I got another 20 years. We'll see what happens. You know, I'm optimistic. Don't worry about it.
Well, Vince, you sort of burst my bubble when I was preparing. When I was preparing for this, I thought about, well, okay, this iceberg is unhealthy. What does a healthy iceberg look like? And you
A
can
healthy
tell.
iceberg, a healthy iceberg is probably a bucket of water. It means it melted. But the bottom line is, yes, I know what you mean. The concept of the iceberg means that we have a lot of things inside of us that we're in the process of developing and learning. A little bit at a time, we may melt the iceberg, but I really believe deeply we never totally melt it. But there's always different little things that come up in life, and one thing replaces something else. There's always that learning process in life. So no, is there a healthy iceberg? No, but there's a healthy concept of the iceberg, which means that I may work on, for example, all these different things that are in the iceberg. I might work on different ones, the ones that pertain to me. Now, 10 years from now, there might be some ones that pertain to me that I didn't work on. So when will you be done? I don't want to be done. You're done when you're done. And I joke a lot about this, but I always say most of us will be done about 5 years after we're dead. And there's some of us in this room looking around right now, probably more like 50 years after you're dead.
Yeah.
No problem at all. Especially the one from South Philadelphia up there. No problem. But the bottom line is, you know, you never know. There's always something new, there's another direction. I look at the program. The program goes through changes. The program goes through things that, the foundations are basic, but the ways in which we approach it, we deal with it, it's back and forth. It's the human condition, which is really important. So yeah, there is, I guess you want to call it, a healthy iceberg. I don't care for the term too much. I just call it, the healthy melting process of the iceberg. But come on. If you want to get analytical, and many of us are easy to do that, you'll always find something to work on.
Okay, so I got this bucket of water with a bunch of ice cubes in it now, visually. So
Okay, good.
is that okay for my healthy iceberg? Does that work?
Yeah, there's still ice cubes there, though.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, we're going to do.
I think you need to draw a little chart in so that we can compare the two sometime.
Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you about some of those normal times in your life when there's a challenge. You're going to doubt yourself. You're going to blame others. You're going to do all the things that are in the bottom of the iceberg, even if you've done the work, correct? How can we sort of maneuver our way out?
I just look at it this way, okay? We're on a journey. We're going to make mistakes on a journey. I look at the 12 steps. It's a good example of this. So many people say, well, I found the sponsor. I went through the steps. Okay. That's more intellectual. I can actually take the 12 steps and use them as a process of grieving, therapeutically, all different ways. But what are the steps? They're a way of life. And do we work them in order? Not necessarily. At different times in different places. If I have an argument with somebody, I need to make amends, the 9th step comes into play right there. I'm powerless over so many things, not just a drug or an alcohol or something to that effect. I'm powerless over many issues in life. Sometimes we're powerless over our body. I'm going through some physical stuff right now with my back. So I'm powerless. It's something that I'll be patient. I got to take my time with. Do I get impatient? Sure. I start to tell the doctors what they should do. And then they tell me the process you have to go through. Do I want to smack them? Yeah. But I can't smack them. I got to be open to the process. And that means more patience, more time, a little bit at a time. And I say it all the time. I told you this 80 times. My sponsor in OA, Richard, used to say to me, growth takes place a little bit at a time. Recovery takes place a little bit at a time. Just a little bit. Itty bitty. Don't do too much. So you gotta be patient. You gotta work through it. Do I like that all the time? No. Do I get impatient? Yes. But I have to realize the fact that it's all part of our humanness. And so no, there's no way anybody on the face of this earth is going to work a perfect program. Anybody tells you to work in a perfect program, run away from them. It means they gave up their humanity. There's no such thing. Because we're going to have good days, bad days. Remember that yin and yang we talked about so many times? Yeah, the good days, the bad days, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's up and it's down, it's back and forth. A friend of mine put it beautifully. If you want to understand life, go to a heart station, hook yourself up to the monitor, and pray it goes like this. Because if it goes like this, you get a definite problem. So the concept is, even the energy of life inside of us, our heartbeats, things to that effect, it's all a process of up and down, up and down. And we have a human body, it gets sick once in a while. It goes through physical changes. As you get older, you go through changes. My running days are over. Unless somebody's chasing me with something, then we'll see what happens. The bottom line is, basically things change in life. You have to adjust. That's why I've said to you so many times, life is acceptance of the reality of what is. And life is also adjusting constantly to life. We adjust every day. You might feel in perfect shape one day, and then maybe something happens. You pull something. Look at professional athletes. They're supposed to be in the top shape of all people, right? And then all of a sudden they pull a hamstring, and they're out for 6, 7, 8 weeks. And things happen. It's life. You never know what's going to happen because the human body is a human body. It's got its ups, it's got its downs. So there's no way. So that concept again of how the steps try to teach us that they're just principles of life. That's all they are to live by. I got to connect with my higher power every day. Talk to God. Some days I do. Some days, you know what? I'll tell you a funny story. I normally post every day on Facebook, part of my meditation. I do in the morning. The other day, I didn't post. I got 2 phone calls from people. Are you all right? Is everything good? Are you okay? Anything wrong? You weren't on Facebook this morning. I said, I took a day off. Oh, really? I said, yeah. It's okay. You don't mind, do you? But again, what do we do as people? We get used to certain things, and then people make a slight change. We go like this. What's the matter? What's wrong? And really, in reality, it's just a change. That's all. It's a process we go through. So, it's just part of the journey of life. I get excited about this. I can't help it. Because I'm learning more and more every day to experience more things, which is really good. So, which again, there's that thing where you're going to bounce from one to the other. You probably have experienced this, I'm sure. Did you ever experience where one day you're really having a great day, you feel good, you got the world by the tail, and then the next day you're down, you're depressed, you're miserable? What happened? Nothing. You're just having a bad day. So we have the goods, we have the bad. Always remember that concept of life. If you don't believe me, look at the electric in your house right now. Realize the electric that you have in your house, the thing we have on Zoom, all comes from negative and positive energy. Isn't that amazing? It's a combination of balance. Everything in life is about balance. That's the key to everything. That's why on our journey of life, we have to learn that balance is the key in all things that we do. I get so excited because I'm in a 12-step program now. All they talk about is balance. I looked for this for years. And the concept is that's what it comes down to. Again, I've learned over and over again, absolutes can be scary. And, I don't know. You just have to realize the fact is just what's happening is beautiful. All part of the process.
There's some words that I love that the iceberg uses below the surface, and one of them is I can't even say it, grandiosity.
Grandiosity?
Yes. And where is that lever that is between that and a healthy ego?
Well, there's 2 parts. Let me quote scripture just for a second. I hope you don't mind. I want to quote something St. Paul said. He said, remember something about the law. The letter of the law can destroy. The spirit of the law is freedom. I use that as a quotation because the question you just asked me about grandiosity and healthy ego, I can become very rigid and very grandiose, like I've got the answers to everything. I know everything. Nobody else does. That's grandiosity. A healthy ego means I know my limitations. I'm open to them. I respect the people I meet around me. Now, that's a healthy ego. There's always a war going on inside of us between the healthy and the unhealthy. So grandiosity, a lot of times, is sometimes our head gets a little out of control. It's this big, but sometimes it gets about that big. And then we got to get a pin and bring it back down to where it belongs. Because sometimes we really think we're the be all end all. That's grandiosity. And I have great knowledge. I have this, I have that. I remember, give me an idea what I mean. I'm talking about an individual that was in a 12-step program a long time ago. And he called himself Mr. Recovery. And he used to go around the countryside doing all kinds of stuff and everything. And always addressed himself as Mr. Recovery. Everybody looked at him as Mr. Recovery. And I remember one time, finally, the air in his bubble burst. And he ended up in a psychiatric hospital. His grandiosity took him right over the edge. And that's scary. Grandiosity is close to narcissism. It's close to the fact that I know everything, nobody else knows anything. When you get to that point, you're in trouble. And sometimes it happens. We get too big for our britches. And we think we've solved all the problems. We don't. So that's a good example I can show you of grandiosity. Another good example is a gentleman that went through Starting Point's halfway house a number of years ago. And he decided, after coming up, being in the halfway house for 2.5 months, that he finally had solved the problem. So he started his own AA meeting, not following the rules of AA. He started his own meeting, developed a cult following. And for a period of about 2 years, he had this group. They would go around trying to convert everybody into what they were doing. He went off the deep end and became like this cult leader. And that happens a lot of times to people. The grandiosity gets so big, the head gets so big, that they forget who they really are. And that's why I love the big book. I love the 12-step program, because everybody's equal. Nobody's better than anybody else. The old timers used to say it all the time. Everybody only has one day. That's why I love my good friend. I never met him, by the way, but I call him my good friend, Mr. Rogers. I love him. It's a great day in the neighborhood. Now listen, Kip knows this. If you wake up in the morning, it's a great day in the neighborhood, right, Kip? Because you're on this side of the dirt and you're alive. It's fantastic. And that's why I love that statement. It's a great day in the neighborhood. So you might not feel good, maybe things are, but guess what? Your feet are on the ground. You're still here. You're still talking to people. So isn't it a great day in the neighborhood? I love the guy. But Mr. Rogers, he was so simple, so down to earth, especially with his sweaters. I used to love his sweaters. The concept is real simple and real plain. I love being around people like that. Because, they're just going with the flow of the day, enjoying it. I mean, I'm grateful just to get up, to be here today, to be on the Zoom thing, and get to see all of you. It's fantastic. I get to see some beautiful smiling faces. I get to see a beautiful smiling face down here with Samantha. Look at that smile on that. It's unbelievable. But it's beautiful, the concept of it. But that's how it's supposed to be. Just enjoy the people around you. Enjoy life. I think sometimes we try to, we try to figure things out. I'm tired of figuring things out. I think it comes with experience. I'll give you an example I'm talking about. We get a lot of interns at Starting Point. They're in their last year before they get their master's degree. They're young, and they got a lot of energy, and they have all the latest techniques of counseling. Because they've been in school, they've been trained in all this stuff. They're ready to go. And I talked to them and I said to them, well, you know what? Now comes the real school of education. It's called people. So one intern came up to me one day and said, you gave me this guy to see, and he's been in 12 different psychiatric programs. He's been around, he's been in all kinds of therapy his whole entire life. What do I do with him? I said, nothing. What do you mean nothing? I said, "Nah, don't test your theory on him. It's not going to work. You probably heard them all. Let him come in and let him talk. You want somebody to talk to. So once a week, you will become a listener. You learn how to listen. And when you're done, you say to them, look, we got a whole bunch of 12-step meetings here. Go to the meetings, meet some people, get around, get connected. And so he says, is it okay if I go to this? We told him which ones he could go to. Yeah. And about 6 weeks later, the intern came and said to me, you know, he's getting better. I haven't done anything. He's getting better. I said, yes, you did. You listened. He's got a life now. He's got friends. He's built a little family for himself. What more do you want? See how simple that is? That's called experience. That's called life. That's called learning from the people you connect with. Everybody I meet in my life has taught me something. You never know what you're teaching, you're not teaching, or what's happening. You're just part of it. That phrase in the woman's meditation book, where it reminds us that every day we're both a pupil and a teacher. Every day of our life. Not even knowing it, we are. Because we meet people, we connect with people. It's all part of the journey. That's one of the reasons why, I'll be honest with you, I never want to retire. Because I love being around people. Because to me, that's my human library. It's my learning process. I learn from the people around me. I especially love being around a lot of the younger people in the program. I go to the 400 Club and speak there every once in a while. I got my contingent this year. There's about 8 or 9 young guys. And they're pistols. You know. Every other word, is the F word and that kind of stuff and everything else. So it's part of the vocabulary. They all walk around with their sneaks untied, and they have these outfits on and their hats going on the back. And so I have fun with them. I have a good time. So I told them next time I come, I want all the shoes tied. Next time I came, all the shoes were tied. It's amazing, isn't it? They listened, but it's also humor. Whatever you do, please. And that's where you can be like Randy House there. A healthy ego also knows how to laugh and how to have fun. Right in the middle of insanity, sometimes all you can do is laugh. Because life throws curves. You don't know where it's going to go. I'll tell you a quick story, but I had the wonderful opportunity. My wife gave it to me as a gift to go and do Dream Week with the New York Yankees. I played ball with them for 9 days. And Mickey Mantle ran the league. But all the old-time pictures were there and everything else. So I just wanted to know about this. Because they tell you in baseball how batters can see the stitches on the ball as the ball's coming at them. I asked Ron Guidry, a pitcher for the Yankees, to throw me a major league fastball. So I stood up there, put the helmet on, and he said, whatever you do, Vince, do not move. I said, okay. So he wound up and I didn't even see the damn thing. What do you mean stitches? All I heard was thud. Then they threw me a major league curveball. I guess where my head was coming off and the ball landed on the other side of home plate. I almost peed myself when the thing came down. Life is so different. But then you got somebody like Ted Williams, who literally could see the rotation and the stitches in the ball. His eyes were so good. Everybody's different. We have different things at different times in the course of our journey in life. And that's what it's really all about. So we're not all Ted Williams. But basically, you are who you are. And yes, you got gifts and talents. Everybody in this room's got gifts and talents. I didn't even know I had them until I was like 47, 48 years old when I began to wake up Never knew I could write a book. I never knew I could do this. I never knew I could. I just started giving lectures to like 1981, 82, and I did them by accident. Isn't it amazing sometimes how we do some of those powerful things in the world by accident? It's funny how it works, isn't it? And the people we meet, people come into our life, they leave our life, they're all part of the journey. I was telling Loretta the other day, it's quite a while ago. It had to be 2013, 14, somewhere in that area. We had a gas leak here at Starting Point in the building, but it was outside, it wasn't inside. And so PSE&G, the gas company, came, and the guy was out there working on the leak. And I walked out there and said hello to him, and he was working. He turned to me and he said, "How you doing, Father Vince?" I got taken back a little bit. I haven't heard Father Vince for a while. And he says, "You remember me, do you?" I said, "No. You helped me get sober 22 years ago. Thanks." Ooh, okay. I still don't know who he is. He probably told me his name. I can't remember it now. But you don't know where things are in the course of your journey. You don't know where things are connected. So every one of us is a seed planter. Plant your seed. Give a little message. Might be the simplest thing in the world. It might be okay.
What I'm hearing you talk about, though, is like a level of, and it's not only iceberg theory, but of curiosity, of learning and accepting, and sort of the things you talk about in the 12 steps after your inventory.
Yeah. You do inventory, that's what 10th step is about, doing daily inventory. It's life. I joke about this. Years ago in the seminary, every night at 10 o'clock, we had to go to the chapel before we went to bed. And we had to do an examination of conscience. Now they call it a 10th step. Take a look at my day. What was good, what wasn't good, things I might want to straighten out. So now we have the 10th step in the program telling me to do the exact same thing. The program tells me to get on my knees and ask for help in the morning. When I was a seminary and I was a kid, I had to get on my knees in grammar school. I had to get on my knees in the seminary. I got calluses on my knees now. It's totally amazing. I come into recovery, they say, get on your knees. All right, here we go again. Or what getting on your knees? It's a sign of humility, that's all. It's why the Muslims pray 13 times a day. How many of us would do that? The concept. But you learn from that. You learn from different things in different directions. One of the most exciting things I ever experienced in my life was praying at a mosque and worshiping. And sometimes worshiping with other denominations and other peoples. It's a great experience. I learned something. I grew from it. That's what's important. It's all part of the journey. Different cultures, different ways, different concepts, different ways of doing things. That's the excitement of life. That's what it's all about. So I guess when I look at the iceberg, I realize the fact we all got a little iceberg inside of us. We have secrets. We have stuff. I'm going to be honest with you. Some of them you'll be able to work through, and maybe there'll be some things we'll take to our grave. That's okay too. There's no such thing as cleaning it out perfectly. I don't know. I don't like to use the word perfect. Sometimes there are things maybe that happened in our life. We just can't share them with anybody because we have to make sure we protect who we are. That's okay too. At least be honest about it and admit to it. That's all. So life has lots. I guess the big thing I'm trying to say tonight is take it easy. Don't be so hard on yourself. Okay. I love my buddy Iggy. I always talk about Iggy. You know, I hope most of you that are a little older know Iggy from the comic strip, the little chubby guy that always had a something to say. He used to always, his famous saying, I have met the enemy is me. I'm the toughest one on myself. Everybody else sees good in me. Then Iggy was trying to climb the mountain to talk to the great guru for the secret of life. And the old guru said to him, go on back down and live. Okay, here's the secret to life. Wake up in the morning. It's a great day in the neighborhood. Do the best you can do. At the end of the day, say thank you. Go to sleep. And I have a closing prayer I always say. I talk to my higher power every day and say, look, I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep now. I'm going to say goodnight. And if I happen to wake up tomorrow morning, I'll say good morning. If not, I'll check you out on the other side. We'll see what happens. I don't know about tomorrow. Yeah, it's an adventure. You know, right now I've been on an adventure for 2.5 months. I was sleeping on a recliner. Never thought I'd be making love to a recliner. It's fantastic. What can I tell you? Now it's become my buddy. You know, I almost get nervous about going back to a bed. I'm kind of, but again, I look at this. I used to get so upset for so long. I finally thought, well, you know what? I got to do this. I got to do it. That's all. So I'll adjust accordingly. That's all. Nice part about it, I can wander around the house in the middle of the night now. And nobody bothers me. That's the fun part if you wake up. Oh, yeah. I don't. It's all part of it. Right, Gino? It's all part of it. Part of the process.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Guys, have any questions or comments? Anything you want?
You can
Yeah.
jump in here.
Now, if you do come up with questions, don't be afraid to either text me or email me them, and I'll get back to you. And it might not be immediately, but I'll get back to you with it. Okay? Don't be afraid to. It's fine. Not just about this, about other stuff too. And if I can't answer it, I'll refer it to somebody who can.
Hey, Vince.
Yeah.
It's nice for me not to beat myself up, you know, and just be easier on myself.
Mm-hmm. It's a secret. Just keep doing it.
Why is it so easy, Vince, to beat up on ourselves?
Why do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Huh.
We had role models.
I just think we live in a world, it's all interconnected. We live in a world that emphasizes the negative. Okay, you notice something about, let's go to a newspaper. By the way, they still have newspapers. I read them every morning. Anyway, we live in a world where there's a newspaper. Who gets in the paper? Negative news and extreme hero news. People that live normal, everyday lives don't make the paper. And so what happens a lot of times, we get brainwashed negatively. You know, like we live in a world right now that's very dysfunctional. It was very dysfunctional back in the Roman Empire. It was very dysfunctional back in the 20s and 30s. Can I tell you? It's called dysfunctionality.
You know what's mysterious? It's mysterious that if you go to animals, they don't, at least it seems to me they're not as dysfunctional. They seem to be more polite. Of course, the predator eats the prey, but other than that, they just seem to be the herding is much more gentle and kind, it seems.
Animals take part in the process of life, you know, and it's understandable. You know, but I mean, I look at the Indians. I study my Indian meditation book, and I love it. The early Indians, before they even killed the buffalo, once they killed the buffalo for food and for clothing, they would kneel down and thank the buffalo for food and clothing. They didn't just go out and hunt for the sake of hunting. You know, there's a purpose behind it. And so the same thing as regards animals and kids, I'm telling you right now, I always said this, pets and kids especially, have a keener sense of life than we do. You know, I love some of the documentaries I watch on the History Channel, and you'll see some of the things about animals. You notice that the tigress, you know, she protects her young to a certain stage, then she starts smacking them and getting them out there in the world, just teaching them how to hunt and take care of themselves. Get out there, you got it moving. You know, what do? We keep them at home till they're 60 years old. About getting some responsibility out there. And I say it now, I didn't say it back then, but I'm glad I went to seminary when I was 14 years old. Otherwise, I'd probably be still not be allowed to date anybody yet. My mom would have made sure of that, that's for sure. So the concept is you have to grow up. Can I tell you? That's good though. But I think kids up to a certain age are still connected. They still have that energy. Then they get caught up in the world around us. Then we got to go back to being a kid again. That's why I love old age. Because, you know, you start with diapers, you end with diapers. What the hell it's all about. There's a process to everything in life. That's why only our diapers are called Depends. No, they're bigger diapers, that's all. Again, go ahead, Loretta.
I was going to say, I think that's a good note to end on.
Well, it depends.
Yes.
Well, look, guys, I'm glad you came out tonight. It's pretty neat. I like doing this. I really do. So we're going to try to do it at the end of each series. You know,
So that means, guys, you got to really pay attention to the next series. And then we can put him on the hot seat and ask him questions about his life that we always wanted to know. Don't make them too personal, but, you know, just things we always wanted to know.
I'll let you know what I can let you know, but I ain't going to let you know what I tell my therapist and my sponsor now.
There you go. That sounds fair, right?
That's fair. Okay. Anyway.
Do you want to wrap this up, please?
Well, I want to close it up with a prayer. I always like to finish up with a prayer. Let us pray. Dear God, thank you so much, the God of our understanding, our divine presence. Thank you so much for the lessons, the gifts, the great messengers of life. Thank you for the beautiful ways you keep trying to teach us. Please help us to be more open. Help us to be individuals that have a sense of learning and growing. Teach us to know there really are no secret answers. It's just life. But I know as long as you walk with us, we ask for your help and guidance every day. We'll be led on the journey. It is a beautiful journey, and I thank you for it. You know, I remember every day, I say it to myself, I say it over and over again, with gratitude and with love. You know, like I said earlier, it's a great day in the neighborhood because I'm alive, I'm here today, I'm sharing. And as a result, whatever has to be will be, whatever will go will go. No one has answers to anything. We just have the journey. And so we pray tonight that each and every one of us can be open to new things and new directions. We pray also that we will never be done. There's always something new to learn, a new place to go, a new experience to go through. But above all, help me to stay away from judging. Just be able to accept the things and the experiences that go on in the course of the journey of life. We pray this every day, and we thank you every day for the gift of life. We pray this in your name. Amen.